All right, 6 o'clock. So I call this meeting to order. Let the record show that all members are present other than Tracy Stritchett, who is at a work conference. If everyone please stand, I'll lead an invocation to follow that with the pledge. God, just thank you for bringing us here tonight. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to work in such a great school system. Thank you for our teachers. Thank you for the teachers we're going to celebrate tonight. Please be with our kids. Please be with our teams that are on the road tonight. We've got several teams that have long bus rides. Just be with them on the field, and then as they travel back. Please give us wisdom in the decisions that we'll be making tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board members who received the agenda for the meeting, may I get a motion to approve the agenda? A second.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the agenda, please raise your hand.
All right. Thanks, board members. As you know, this is the time of year where we start our board reconstitution. I want to publicly thank Mr. Holland for serving as a great model for us with the president and Dr. Strickland, the vice president. Board members, this time we will go ahead and start that process. May I have a nomination for chairman?
I make a motion to nominate Tracy Stritchett.
Are there any other nominations for this position?
I move to close nomination.
All right. All those in favor of Dr. Stritchett, please raise your hand. Dr. Stritchett said at the conference, we'll tell her congratulations.
That's what she gets from this.
That's right. There you go, she's well represented. All right, board members, may I have a nomination for vice chair?
I would like to nominate Sherry Jackson.
Are there any other nominations for the position? Okay. Nominations are closed. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Congratulations, Ms. Jackson. Board members, if y'all want to play musical chairs and move down. Thank you again, board members, for making that as seamless as possible, and look forward to still working with everybody in new roles and current roles. A lot to do. Appreciate all that you guys do. All right, first item on the receivers information. Prior to tonight's board meeting, we had the opportunity to recognize our Teacher of the Year award winners from each school at a ceremony held today at the Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank Ms. Jenny Jones in AEA, Ms. Nelda Searles, and Ms. Patty Vanderwall for the Natalia Education Foundation and the Chamber of Commerce for all pulling together to recognize our great teachers who do so much for our kids every single day. We will recognize our elementary and secondary Teacher of the Year who was recognized at the previous meeting, and again, we just want you guys to come up. We're going to take a picture with you. You have a 10-minute speech. Ms. Ferguson, you have a 10-minute speech. I'm kidding. We'll give you the opportunity to address everyone. Board members will take a picture right there at the white backdrop. And without further ado, our first Teacher of the Year for our elementary education, Ms. Tia Ferguson of Pratt Elementary. Congratulations. You want to give a long-winded speech?
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to say, while we were over there earlier today, I was very humbled to be surrounded by such wonderful educators and to be selected among them. So, and it is an absolute honor to be recognized for doing something that I genuinely love. So, thank you very much.
If you're familiar with, familiar with our educational system, everybody knows you're a rock star, well deserved. We appreciate you. We'll get a quick picture. Board members, y'all ready? And Ms. Searles and Ms. Fenwell, y'all come join us too. Go Bill. Let's give this Our secondary teacher of the year, Mr. Josh Dozier from Marvin Middle. Come on up, sir. I'll give you the same opportunity, sir.
I just want to say thank you to everybody in attendance tonight, to the chamber, to AEA, AEF, all the teachers that were involved in the nomination process. It really is a humbling experience, and also my administrators. I've had some fantastic administrators, many of which are in here tonight, who have indulged some of my crazier propositions there. Ms. Harrington, a few times I'll go in and say, hey, this is what I want to do, and she brought back her chair and go, okay. She never really told me no, so I appreciate all of the help that I've had from all of these great administrators and teachers, so thank you. It is very humbling. My pleasure.
Congratulations. And I will say, when I used to teach ninth grade social studies at Marvin High School, the biggest letdown my students always had was, are we gonna get to do the cool stuff Mr. Dozier used to do with gladiators and things like that? I'm like, guys, I'm sorry, the cool ship still. He does a great job. Thank y'all. And again, I just want to thank the Prattville Chamber of Commerce and Target Education Foundation, AEA. Guys, we have a really good thing going in Target County. We have strong partnerships across the board. We appreciate everybody recognizing our fantastic teachers. And again, congratulations to Ms. Ferguson and Mr. Dozier. We appreciate you guys. All right, the second item on the agenda is going to be financial presentation from Mr. Chris Williams with Rice Advisor. Good evening, Mr. Williams. Hey, wherever you want to go. Sounds good.
Good evening, my name is Chris Williams, I'm Rice Advisory. We're a financial advisory firm to municipalities. We were engaged to come into the Tucker County Board of Ed a while back. We did some analysis on the potential ability to access the bond market or the debt market for needed improvements to the system. We have determined that the board should not access the debt markets at the present time. Several reasons. One is we stated that in order for the board to be able to access the debt markets, they would have had to create a revenue source. That has not happened, and so the other alternative is to cut expenses. That would possibly include several things. If you saw the news yesterday or day before, Dr. Mackey reiterated that would possibly include cutting services and or closing and consolidating schools. So at the present time, I've talked with the board, I've been meeting closely with Leslie, and we have determined that they cannot access, should they even try, they might not be able to access the capital markets at the present time. I'm open for any and all questions.
Well, Mr. Williams, I know this kind of concludes our year-and-a-half process of, we've taken fresh approach to our financial situation. I appreciate the neutral, candid nature you have analyzed our things with. We're gonna continue to look at exactly what you said, how do we give our teachers what we need and try to balance that difficult, path that we all know we're about to settle on. So, on my end, I just wanna tell you, I appreciate what you've done. You put in a lot of time, a lot of effort, and, I appreciate your honest assessment. Board members, do you have any questions for Mr. Williams? All right, Mr. Williams, that wraps up your financial analysis for us. Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all very much.
All right, before my recommendation for approval of the consent agenda, I would like to give some information on a few items that are listed specifically in the consent agenda. Item number 2 contains all athletic and field trips for the month. Item number 3 contains a list of items that are no longer in working condition and need to be disposed. Item number 4 contains supplemental pay requests pertaining to tutoring, instructional services, school activities, other types of services. Item number 5 contains a revised salary schedule for 12-month bookkeepers. The revised salary schedule reflects the correct daily rate for the 12-month local school bookkeepers. Recently, it was discovered that the daily rate is less than the 10-month, 202-day local bookkeepers. Both should have been on the same daily rate. So this is an adjustment to that to get it the way it should have been in the new fiscal year. It only affects October moving forward, so I was glad Ms. Poe and her team caught that pretty quick, and that will fix that pay discrepancy moving forward. Item number 6 contains coaching contracts for Marbury Middle School, Otago School, and Prattville High School. Item number 7 contains a request to approve the bid for Chilton Contractors to clear the property at Billingsley School that will be used for the new agricultural building. The bid is for the amount of $62,226. This project is being funded by one-time state grants provided by the State Department. Board members, as you'll recall, this all ties into the livestock learning lab that we're going into partnership with Billingsley School, and really looking forward to that project. This is the clearing of the actual site. Item number 8 contains a bid for gym floor refinishing across the district. The bid from Scout Sport Floors LLC is to sand, refinish, and paint gym floors at Prattville Kindergarten School. That's the old Prattville Kindergarten, Otago School, Billingsley School, Marbury Middle, Marbury High, Prattville Junior High, and Prattville High School. Board members, this is recommended to occur basically every 10 years. You're supposed to take the gym floors down to the original wood. We have numerous schools where I don't even know, honestly, I don't know if anybody can tell you when it actually occurred. So we're wanting to do this to put everybody on the same timeline for maintenance purposes. Doing all the floors at one time obviously makes it easier to track. And as you know, gyms are used for everything under the sun in schools, but all public events. So it will drastically change the looks of our schools as well. The amount of the bid is $142,750. This project is being funded with ATF funds provided by the Alabama State Department of Education. They're not being funded with local funds. We're using one-time state money to try again. This is another example of us trying to solve facility issues while we have the money that we have that we don't know if we're going to get every year from this stuff. Item number 9 contains a resolution to the City of Prattville to annex Prattville High School, the Ottawa County Technology Center, and any property adjacent to and owned by the Ottawa County Board of Education to be annexed into the City of Prattville. Annexing these properties will help with police and fire agreements. It will also provide more flexibility to continue to work cooperatively with the City of Prattville to improve education in the City of Prattville. As a general reminder, a few months ago, we did the same thing with Pine Level Schools. Now, on a different note, right now, the way our fire and police agreements operate, we have to have MOUs, and it's been fine, but it could be a lot easier if they were actually in the city limits. This also gives us flexibility with the City of Prattville in terms of all the schools would be in the city, so kind of future funding sources would be easier to be worked with them cooperatively. And again, not to say the same thing twice, but this is exactly what we did with Pine Level a few months ago. Are there any questions for board members on anything with the consent agenda as presented?
Yes.
Okay.
Just to reiterate, number 7 and number 8,
Yes.
just because I have a lot of constituents that get very concerned about us spending money, putting money into things, though it just looks like we're just spending money on useless things. Can you please explain that these are earmarked specific for these, so we can either not accept it and do anything with it, or accept it and put it towards these type projects?
Right, yeah, 7 with Billingsley, that is a grant specifically awarded by the Lieutenant Governor's office for that task. So you have to use all those funds directly with that project. So yes, the clearing on that, again, that's direct. To get the grant, you had to specifically list what you were using it for. And then item number 8, again, and I appreciate you asking that, it is directly tied in with ATF funds, that we have a little flexibility with how we're using it. My staff and I, and you guys, we all agree, our facilities are in very, very bad shape. So we're trying to use as much of those funds as we possibly can to fix long-term issues. Again, the gym floor deal, I challenge anybody to go visit Prattville Junior High, go visit Marbury Middle, even Marbury High School, one of the newer schools. I was in the building last night. The gym floor is very dull. It's because over years, as you're sanding it down, you're just putting in the top layer. It is recommended for the life of that wood to last 30, 40, 50 years. You gotta take it all the way down to the original grain. That's why this bid is substantially more than what you would normally pay, but it gives a fresh starting point. So hopefully we're all here in 10 years, but if we're not, whoever comes in will know it was done at this time, every gym was handled, and they can have a timeline. I also wanna address a couple things there, and Ms. Jackson, I appreciate you opening that up. I know we all know the tax failed, and that's not what we're here for tonight. We're here to move forward. But a lot of discourse occurred through that, initiative that I think was good for our county. I think our people are understanding more and more how we're funded. But when funds are earmarked a certain way, there's really nothing that you can do other than to try to use them to the best of your ability. All the funds that you see, and again, I challenge our viewers who are watching tonight, please find another board that has been as transparent as ours. We tell you where it's coming from, we tell you the dollar amount, because we believe it's important. The theme moving forward, you just heard Mr. Williams present, the theme moving forward is the challenge is our local funds. We have to get creative, and we're gonna have to look at some different things. These two projects do not come out of local funds, they come out of state dollars. One more thing I wanna address, I know I have received probably 10 emails this week wanting to know why the school system spent $1.7 million on the football stadium. I need to explain that. That is a lease. That's important that our public understands. We are paying a 25-year lease for that project. Now, I wholeheartedly support that initiative. Having played here and been here all my life, it was drastically needed, and I commend the city and the previous board and previous superintendents for doing all that. But again, I just hope people continue with the questions, because that's how we're gonna move forward. You have to give us the questions, and we will tell you the answers. Just keep sending us the questions, we'll answer them as transparently as possible. So, very excited about where we're at, very excited where we're going, but it's gonna, again, we're gonna probably be too transparent, but that's a good thing. So, I know I got on a little rant there, not a rant, but,
No, that's perfect.
explanation. Any other questions from board members on any consent agenda?
I'll say, living here my whole life, Prattville High School being annexed into the city of Prattville, I mean, to me, that's exciting. I've heard different stories of why it wasn't through the years. I don't know where the truth was, but I think that's exciting.
Yeah, I think, and I see Mayor Gillespie here tonight, I don't see the hindrance there. I think if anything, it's gonna strengthen partnerships. Having the one school outside the city limits, did cause some issues again with fire and police. I'm very appreciative to, our city and our city council for allowing us to work through that. This will, if in theory, if it gets annexed by the city of Prattville, it will help us on those agreements, and then hopefully help in the future as well. So again, I just wanted to say it one more time. This is the same thing we did a few months ago with Pine Level. It's the same deal. So I did see on the public comments, we have one public comment. Mr. Newman, you're right, come on up. You'll have 3 minutes.
Right here.
You can stand there, stand here.
I did want to just say a couple things. Some of the things, the reason I'm speaking on resolution number 9, the annexation piece, is because I've kind of been a little bit of a proponent for it. And I say that because I'm on a couple of committees in the town, the 911 board for one, which allowed me to see that there was a disconnect, or not a disconnect, but additional paperwork that was involved, and there was MOUs for the ambulance service and some of the other services and stuff. And I kind of asked the question, why wasn't it annexed into the city limits? Mr. Glover and I talked about it a little bit. And then I also am on the MPO, which is the Metropolitan Planning Organization, which, if you guys don't know, is a regional group that consists of 3 different levels. And the citizen level, I'm going to represent the city of Prattville. And that's where you see a lot of the sidewalk work that's going on around town. So you'll see federal funding, that is dedicated for, sidewalks and some road construction stuff. So the sidewalk program actually even has some educational side where federal dollars are given for sidewalks. So I thought, you know, if we annex that in, if we could do that, like all the other schools in the city are, that would allow, it'll open up other additional opportunities for maybe the city, and I know the mayor, and I've talked about this a little bit, there may be an opportunity where we can leverage some of that NPO dollars to get some sidewalks in front of the school there, in front of the VOTEC, sorry, I didn't mean to say VOTEC, in front of the, park and everything along in front of the high school there that would, we can't do when it's within the county. So I think it's a great thing. I'd like to, make sure everybody understands it's just annexing into the city limits. It's not, you know, nothing else is going on. It would just be like every other school in the city. So I'm a big proponent of it, for it, and I'm hoping that it gets voted in tonight. So I'm excited about it. So that's all I'm just going to say.
Thank you, Mr. Newton. All right, board members, if there's no further questions, I recommend approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. May I get a motion to approve?
So,
Second,
A second.
any discussion? Raise your right hand and vote.
All right, board members, at this time, I recommend approval of the personnel report as presented.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. May I get a motion to approve? Make a motion to approve. Second,
second.
any discussion? Please raise your right hand and vote.
At this time, I would like to ask Ms. Poe to come forward and provide us with our September and October 2024 banking financial statements.
Good evening. So my first presentation will be discussing our 2024 fiscal year end. So we just finished wrapping up and closing out our 2024 year. As detailed in your packet, I'm going to go over some brief information. For the fiscal year 2024, our district revenues exceeded our expenses by $11 million. Now, as we discussed in our budget presentation with 2025 about how our expenses are exceeding, the increase in revenues is a direct result from receiving money in 2024 that we are spending in 2025. Advanced technology funds, nursing supplement, textbook supplement, and additional state appropriations such as that are outside our regular budget. We received those funds in 2024. We'll be spending them in 2025. So therefore, it misconstrues when I say we have an $11 million excess. Of that $11 million, $9 million was the supplemental, so we really saw a $2 million excess for 2024 fiscal year. The fund balance in general fund ended at $51 million, and payroll for September was 6.7. Your local revenue analysis, so for the whole fiscal year, we collected $22 million in local revenue. September's collections was about 1.8. And the majority of what I've got listed that we collected in September is related to receivables that we're owed for August and September, because you sometimes receive some of those sales tax in arrears, because they have to finish collecting before we get it. So we've noted that in our year end. Our local revenue, as I always like to remind everyone, it is used to allocate required state match for our foundation program, our capital funds projects, and for our debt requirements. Any questions about the general fund for year end? Okay, that's September. You want me to go ahead and talk
Keep
about
on
October?
rolling, keep on
Okay.
rolling.
So now we roll into 2025, and we're at our first month of the fiscal year. We should be around 8% in our new budget. Our revenues for October, we're actually at 6.5% or 5.7 million. It's always gonna be sluggish. You'll start seeing a pickup in November and December and January for ad valorem. Our expenditures at the district were, they were at about 9% or 8.5 million. That's a direct result of these supplementals now. So you're gonna see a trend of our expenditures ahead of our revenues as a result of that extra funding that we received early on. Our fund balance in October ended at 47.7 million, and our payroll was at 6.8. For local revenue collected in October, that was about 461,000. So that's only 2% of our budget, but like I said, we'll see that pick up as we start rolling through the fiscal year. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bowden. All right, at this time, I recommend approval of the September bank and financial statements as presented.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Can I get a motion to approve? Second?
Second.
Please raise your right hand and vote.
All right, at this time, I recommend approval of the October bank and financial statements as presented.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. May I get a motion to approve? Second?
Second.
Please raise your right hand and vote.
All right, board members, just two items on the superintendent report. First, Prattville Kindergarten School, pleased to say we have passed inspection, but we do have one final hurdle. As you know, intercoms, fire alarms, camera systems, they all work through the internet now. We're currently waiting on Spectrum to come out and do what they have to do. The date for completion right now is tentatively scheduled for December the 20th. That's caused a little bit of a delay in what we were wanting to do. I still plan on a mid-January move, depending on Spectrum. Again, I know our parents are wanting us to say, hey, we're gonna move on this date, this is the days you're gonna need to be virtual. But again, until we work through the issues with contractors, there's really not a whole lot we can definitively say other than what we're saying now. So, the building's beautiful. I think our kids our teachers are gonna really enjoy it. And I know there's some frustration about how long it's taken us to get in there, but again, these factors are part of construction. And needless to say, you can't go into a new building with no fire alarm or other things, so, we're working through it, Spectrum will be there, and we'll get that out to parents. The other item, obviously with Mr. Williams, presenting that earlier tonight, I know there's a lot of questions and concern about how we're gonna move forward as a district. We are looking at feeder patterns in the city of Prattville, we're looking at enrollment in the county. We've been very vocal with our parents and, everyone where our issues are. We have several issues related to attendance. In the northern part of the county, we have subdivisions that are gonna go in that we have no plan with how to accommodate them in the Margaret Pine Level area. We have declining enrollment in the city of Prattville, and we have low enrollment numbers, particularly in Otago and, Billingsley to an extent with Great Level. I know the public is wanting some immediate, hey, this is what you're doing. We can't rush into these decisions. We're analyzing and studying what we're gonna do. I hope to have some more information, you guys, December, January, on different options that we can look at. I know that's not the answer that a lot of people are wanting to hear tonight, but anytime you're making decisions for mass change, there's such a tie-in effect with how everything from transportation to CNP to equipment. I mean, look at Prattville Kindergarten right now. I mean, we're trying to move one school and, it's been delayed several times. So, I'm sure you guys have some questions. I'll do my best to answer them, but I think, right now we study what we're doing. We put these proposals out very soon, December, January. And I get some answers from the state and I'm waiting on them. We move forward.
As far as timelines and things like that, obviously, any change affects employees, parents, kids, of what, when you're looking at timeline of if you decide to make some changes, what are you looking at on that?
Well, my understanding from the state is, they'll send out a memo in December. And you'll have through December and January to turn the form back in on the anticipated closings. So the ball will move pretty fast. It will be dependent on, number one, does it solve the issues we think it's gonna solve? Number two, can we pull it all off in that type of a window? It might be a situation where we bring suggestions and it's a year to a 2 year, but we announce early on, this is some things that we're doing. There's just a lot of different variables there on what we're having to look at. The main variable in our district right now is enrollment. And that's gonna drive this decision. When you're funded based off your enrollment and your enrollment is declining, you have to start there on how you're gonna make decisions moving forward.
I know you said one of the things on your yes and no side would be second chance. So do you know approximately how much would we be saving if we closed second chance?
Preliminary figures would be right at $1 million, specifically with staff, it's $970,000. We have a principals meeting tomorrow where we will talk about some scenarios that, if that occurs. You know, you take something like Second Chance, you have to have a plan for when students make choices that give them a second chance. That would have to be more of a virtual model, and how that looks, again, those are some of the questions I'm waiting on the state, just to make sure, you know, our contacts there have been great, they're really helping us out on some of that. But from a financial standpoint, our numbers so far are $970,000 on staffing. And, obviously, you could move some staff on any school that you close, you can move some staff back to the base schools, and help, shore up needs at other schools as you're consolidating some of these others. But, massive decisions, one way or the other as we go.
I'm glad you mentioned virtual. So I think some of the concerns about Second Chance closing is, oh no, kids that are in trouble for various reasons are gonna be in the classroom right next to my kid that's not in trouble. So when you mentioned virtual, is that possibly what we would be going towards, is if we were to close Second Chance, we would do the virtual model?
Yeah, that's.
Like with our new virtual school that would have
Right,
staff next
researching
year.
some districts, how they handle that. Typically, they suspend students, obviously that counts against your chronic absenteeism. The beauty of having the virtual school now is, right now, the way it all functions is up to 10 days. So short-term alternative school placement, your base school provides the work for those students anyway. So if the base school was to assign a student short-term virtual school, so it's not a suspension, they're just going home virtually, technically, the kids will still get the assignments from the teachers like they are now. The issue is gonna be if you do a long-term placement, then obviously that's where you're going to look at our Talk Virtual Academy as the place that we're moving that. Now, again, some of those questions I gotta work out the finer points with the state, just to make sure we're not breaking any coding issues or anything like that. But those are all the multi-layers of different options that we have to look at, because I've learned the hard way in 15 months, 16 months, however long it's been now. Something that seems easy to pull apart, once you pull it apart, it was intertwined in a bunch of different directions, and you didn't fully know it until you pull it apart. So that's a good question, prime example.
What about the pre-K program? I know that was one of the other things that we had talked about.
Yeah.
It says it's not fully funded, how,
The financial impact of what it costs us right now to run in pre-K is about $150,000, which is not a significant amount when our overall budget. The bigger issue with pre-K right now is when you're looking at consolidation, then classrooms matter. And right now, off the top of my head, I think there's 10 to 12 classrooms across the district that are pre-K, and obviously that's space. So if pre-K is ended, if that's something we look at doing, then the driving factor on that is gonna be space along with cost. Now, with pre-K, the teachers that are in that, world, they're certified elementary teachers, so in theory, again, you can soften the blow with moving some of the teachers around to shore up some of our other schools. But again, we put it out there, it was a possibility, and that's why it's a possibility, because it's not fully funded, and, for a pre-K classroom to be on campus, that's really a classroom that the principal does not have access to putting kids in. So, $150,000 to answer your original question, I know it kind of got a little long-winded on that one.
I think it's very important, as we wrap this portion of this up. You've done a really nice job dancing around it, and I think we all have. And most of you are educators sitting in here, and I appreciate what you do every day. This county spoke resoundingly, and I think it is imperative that before we leave here tonight, that we know change is coming. It's not a possibility, it's not if this, then that. This is something that I want people prepared for, because it was stated, and it's gonna happen, it's gonna have to happen.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're correct. I mean, we cannot get around the fact that, you know, the property vote was out there, and we very clearly put out what yes and no could mean, and, the reality is, you just heard Mr. Williams give his final presentation, you know, everything on the no side are ways that we recoup money to get back on track for our budget. And, look, we are duplicating services in many areas across this district. There's no two ways around that. If the enrollment justifies the duplication of services, that's one thing. If the enrollment does not justify the duplication, that's something totally different. Now, as we morph into more detailed conversations, that onion's pretty thick, and it's gonna lead to a lot of different results. So I appreciate what you're saying there publicly. I mean, we don't wanna dance around it. Change is coming, whether we like it or not. So I would agree with your assessment there.
So when we're looking at, you know, closing programs and consolidating and things like that, you said probably December, you would know
Right.
more firmly December.
Some questions I was hoping to have ready to go tonight, I haven't got quite the answer on. So I would hope December. Look, here's another factor. Our report cards for schools will be going out in the next few weeks. I think that's important when data's out there, that we look at that data as well. But yes, it should be a lot clearer in December. Now, I don't want anybody in this room to think, I'm gonna stand up and tell you guys, these are the schools we need to close in December. Because if you close X, Y, Z school, you gotta have a plan for transportation, you gotta have a plan for teachers, you gotta have a plan for all these other variables that we need to be able to articulate that out before, you know, that vote's final. And, I would hope to be able to, my goal is December to be able to say, look, here are some options for the different issues we have. We don't necessarily have to vote in December, but put it out there, here's some options, so you guys can really look at different things for different feeder patterns, different schools, and then start making plans accordingly. I hope that answers it.
Yeah. Well, I just know that people are, I mean, we've been very vocal about the change and about things that need to happen, and, you know, we need to prepare for the 2026 school year. And so, you know, schools may not close this coming year, but definitely programs will be cut and things will happen in anticipation of the 2026 school year.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, no, that's, spot on. The people have given us a mandate that we have to solve this as a collective. The only places we can start solving it is local funds. That's our only option. You can't cut federal, you can't cut state. Our only option is local. And the things that you guys are asking about is how you're gonna build in an excess of local funds to do the things that you need to do. Now, all of our goal, even if the school closes, we all know we're gonna do all we can to protect all the jobs we possibly can. But there's gonna be some very hard decisions coming very soon. Any other questions or? All right, well, I hate to finish my part on that note, but, I do wanna reassure our citizens that we hear you. I've received numerous emails. I'm sure after tonight, we're gonna get a lot more, and, you know, I encourage you to send them in. I assure you that we do discuss the concerns. And if I'm being honest, there's been some things throughout this process that, concerns that citizens have brought that are valid, that we need to look internally and try to find a better solution. It starts with me. It starts with us, as the board as well. We're looking at it. We're gonna do everything we can to protect the jobs that our people have and to give our kids the education they need. But again, not to echo what the board was just saying, we've known this is coming for many years now, and unfortunately it's here. And, we're gonna have to look internally on what we're gonna do to give the kids what they need. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. So, no further questions? All right. That's it on my part.